Welcome to DisruptCRE 2015. My name is Mariela Brahimi. I'm going to be your host and a co-founder of DisruptCRE, where technology and real estate collide. Thank you all for being here today. We know you guys could have been anywhere in the world, but you're sitting here with us, and we appreciate that. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our title sponsor, IdeaPaint. If all of you involved in real estate are not using IdeaPaint, you're sorely missing out. Luckily, we have co-founder Jeff Avalon here today. Please find him. He will happily talk to you about IdeaPaint. We're very excited to have them here. Thank you to our sponsor, Kevin Guy from Real Liquidity. Kevin has been one of our originating DisruptCRE adopters. He's been with us since our start in Boston in October. So thank you, Kevin from Real Liquidity. And thank you to new sponsors, Wes from Ascendix, a Duke Long Top 5 CRE CRM, and John Kona from F9 Analytics. F9 is providing all the media and content today and the many videos that we'll be releasing after the conference as well. We are in a truly exciting time for commercial real estate. New ideas and technologies are pushing the boundaries of what's possible in design and construction. New York is no stranger to innovation. From its iconic skyscrapers to its world-class bridges, New York is the world's capital of commercial real estate. Today, you will learn about the wide gap between commercial real estate and technology, and how technology will continue to dramatically change the business of real estate. So please join me in welcoming our co-founder of DisruptCRE, Stephen Hopkins, and New York City-based CompStak CEO, Michael Mandel, for a one-on-one fireside chat to kick our show off.
Thank you, Mariel. Thanks, Convene, for everybody that's in the Convene audience. What a wonderful space. We're really happy to be here. Thank you again all for coming out. Tell you a little background. I got started here a couple years ago at the New York City Real Estate Expo. I don't know if any of you ever attended that. A couple years ago, we brought Michael in to do a special tech thing. At that point, I think tech was just getting started, and you were one of the first that was out there. We had a fun pitch segment. We had some judges. Michael ended up winning the contest, and as you guys all know, or if you're not familiar with CompStak, I'm sure you are, they've taken off and haven't looked back. So I'm very happy to kind of come back to New York City and be sitting here with Michael to kick this off. So when I look at the CompStak model, in my opinion, it best represents in CRE tech a model built around the sharing economy. For those that aren't familiar with that phrase, the sharing economy refers to a system built around the sharing of resources, physical and online. It's a worldwide phenomenon that is driven by our mobile devices and internet. We'll get into the sharing economy model in a moment, but first let's start with a simple question that I know connects you to the crowd. 5 years ago you were a broker, one of the people sitting here like they are here now. Michael, why did you decide to give up being a broker and join the CRE tech world? It was about, like we said, 4 or 5 companies at that time. And what was that aha moment that you had?
Sure. So I guess for me, I always intended to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to start a company, and I had worked as a real estate broker for about 5.5 years when we got CompStak off the ground. I guess I started working on the idea when I was a broker for about 4 years, and had seen a lot of opportunities, I think, in the industry, because obviously, most of you here have come from the industry and know how antiquated it is, and realized that there was a lot of opportunity here, and was really just kind of like checking off ideas that I had and trying to think about what made the most sense, and ultimately felt like, you know what, somebody's got to do something about some of these, and started to see some things happening in different areas, but thought, what seemed to be the most opportunity and where did I see the most ROI, and tried to identify an opportunity that felt like, the barrier to entry was low enough that I could pull it off, but the opportunity was big enough that there was a lot of money to be made, and people could embrace it, and built CompStak out of trying to really emulate an existing process in the commercial real estate industry and trying to take an offline process and move it online, which felt like, a means of getting the community to embrace it without being totally disruptive.
Absolutely. So let's talk about let's talk about the model, because it is a very interesting model where people are sharing. Talk about that. Was that, when you were ticking that off and you were coming up with that idea, was that something you knew you wanted to do, or did you iterate into that?
Sure. No, actually, I mean, what we do was really, it's been pretty much the same since we started. It started from my experience as a broker. I was sitting in a weekly market meeting at Grubb & Ellis where I was working, but all the major brokerage firms had these market meetings, and we'd sit around for an hour, 2 hours plus, where everybody sits around the table and talks about what deals took place in the market. Oh, so-and-so did this deal in this building, and so-and-so did this deal. And I'd sit there feeling like I'm just wasting my time because everybody's talking about the big, sexy hedge fund deals, at 9 West 57th Street or, 767 Fifth Avenue, and I'm working on tech deals in Midtown South, and most of these deals are irrelevant to me. But the thought was, if all this data was in a database and we could all get it when we need it, this could be useful. And I knew that I and all my colleagues in the industry were sharing this data. In order to have information for the meetings, I was calling up my brokerage friends at other firms and asking them to send me comps. And we're all just kind of doing this because this is the way it's always been done. So now I'm forgetting what the question was, but ultimately, what spurred it, right? The model. So the model is, commercial real estate brokers, appraisers, and researchers share lease comps on CompStak. They earn credits for sharing those comps, which is like a virtual currency, and then they can use those credits to get other comps out. And then we end up with a comprehensive database of all the deals that have taken place in the market. That database is fully searchable by our members who have shared data, but then we also sell subscription access to that database to our customer base, who are real estate investors, lenders, and asset managers. So we sell to people like Tishman Speyer, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, what have you.
Talk about the adoption of it in the brokers and people using it, embracing it, and when you knew that you had the right model.
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. I think in principle, I knew that it should work because people were already sharing data. So how was this any different? It was just a different means of doing it, and yet we had to force it to happen, for a while. And I think that's the case that a lot of people don't necessarily realize with tech startups, particularly marketplaces or network-based businesses, is they assume, oh, you build it and people think it's cool and then everybody just does it. And it doesn't work that way. I have distinct memories of sitting on my couch in my apartment calling up all my brokerage friends from all the different firms and saying, hey, can you send me comps? Can you send me comps? Can you send me comps? And then looking to see who logged in that day and calling them up and saying, hey, why haven't you logged in? Why aren't you pulling comps out? And just constantly pushing people to use it. And then, and then from there it became more along the lines of email promotions, and it became, just a lot of, and publicity and getting our name out there. But then it just started to work, where people started sharing comps because they saw value in the platform and wanted to get other data out, and the platform in and of itself worked without having to constantly call everybody all the time. We still have to call people in new markets. We still need to push people and launch each market individually and build that momentum. But ultimately, we found that it just took some time and the platform made sense to people.
So CompStak, we're gonna project out. You make a big exit at some point if that's where you're looking to go. What's next?
Well, I think ultimately we're looking to grow a big business, and so we're taking the position that we're going to build the business as big as we can. If there's an incredible opportunity, I think when you mentioned to me ahead of time, you said $1 trillion exit. We'll definitely sell for $1 trillion. Absent that, we're looking to build a big business. But I think that to the extent that we sell for $1 trillion, I'd probably go start something else because it's a lot of fun. And maybe in the real estate space again, maybe it would be something different. But I like running a business.
Let's talk about, we have, you're a pioneer in this industry of CRE tech. We have a lot of, younger companies that are now entering the space. They've just entered the space. What are some, let's talk about 3 things that you could give them as takeaways through your experience.
Sure. Okay. So thing number 1. If you're not of a technical background, find a great technical co-founder, which is maybe easier said than done, but it wasn't easy for me either. I didn't know anybody. I went to every single real tech startup event I could find every night of the week for months and months until I found my co-founder, who's awesome, and a lot of it was luck too because I didn't know he'd be awesome. But I had actually tried to start something a couple years earlier that failed because I hired some guy in Boston who was building it for me on a consultancy basis for money, and it was just a complete disaster. And in starting CompStak, I made sure to find someone who was truly believed in what we were doing, was in it strictly for equity, and wanted to help, get CompStak off the ground and believed in it as much as me. And having the right team in place is huge. And you can't, overlook that. It's a lonely place to try to be an entrepreneur and do it by yourself. So that would be number one. Number two, I would say is, you don't necessarily have to start a company in this space right now. Off the bat, I think there's a lot of really great real estate tech startups right now. I may have done it differently, if I were starting it today. Maybe I would go join one of the real estate tech companies that you're going to see today and learn about what they're doing, learn what it takes to start a company, gain some good experience, and then decide to go start something after that with that under your belt. I think, a lot of great entrepreneurs have gone through the startup process in other places and have helped grow companies in an early stage.
Last one.
Yeah, last one. Oh, I wrote down a note,
Before
yeah.
last one, I want to ask, because there are other, besides the tech, there are other brokers, there's architects, we have finance people here, people that might not have been a broker, but if they had the idea that they want to get into this because they see in their part of their business something's not right, or they want to make it better, what would you say to them?
Oh, absolutely do it. I mean, if you see an opportunity.
Do it now.
Yeah, go after it. If you see an opportunity, go after it. But obviously, you have to, you got to think it through. You've got to figure out where the right opportunity is, and investigate what makes sense. Make sure that you've got a viable business model. I think a key way to do it that worked for us was to really kind of build a small business, but think about how you're going to make it into a big business. We view ourselves as a platform for crowdsourcing commercial real estate data of all kinds, being the leader in commercial real estate information, with our unique differentiator being that we crowdsource data, which is a really efficient way to gather market information. But what we built, to get started in that direction is a lease comp platform. And so I think, think about what you can do to get into the market, to start gaining some traction, but then, really try to articulate a clear vision of what you can really achieve later on.
That's great. Thank you, CRE tech pioneer Michael Mandel from CompStak. And we are ready for the first panel. So Marielle, thank you so much.
Cool.